What's up guys, and welcome back to On The Brick, where today I have for you the Bikini Bottom Skyline from Ben Builds Lego. Sort of. See, a while ago I showed off an Ahsoka mosaic that I got from a non-Lego party, as it was a good bit cheaper than normal Lego mosaics, and I wanted to try it out. But when I bought that, I also saw some smaller, like $10 sets that I wanted to see if they were really worth getting. And this was one of them. Now, of course, I did buy the instructions from Ben Builds Lego, and if you want to do the same, the link will be in the description down below. Now, like I said, this actually did cost me only $10, but if you're interested in getting it in real Lego, it's only about $37 plus shipping. And really, there's not too much to talk about here. If you haven't seen SpongeBob, well, then you're probably just like Patrick. And if you have seen SpongeBob, then you probably recognize everything that's going around right now, but just in case, let's start from the left. Of course, we start with the neighborhood here. This is Patrick's house, Squidward's house, and then SpongeBob's house. Next to that, we have the Krusty Krab and the Chum Bucket. We then have the boating school with the anchor, and of course, Sandy's house as well. Overall, in terms of iconic locations of the show, I feel like this did a really good job of choosing which ones to include. The neighborhood was a given, the Chum Bucket and the Krusty Krab as well. I think the boating school is a nice addition to have. If I had to choose though, I might have done something like Jellyfish Fields or something. I don't really think the boating school is a bad choice though, and I do like Sandy's house. Now, this build does contain 262 pieces, so it is pretty light and it is actually really small as well. It's the typical size of a Skyline build, so if you have any of those, then you know exactly what you're gonna get here. The build itself is also pretty straightforward, and there's nothing too extreme here at all. In fact, this thing probably took me maybe an hour to do. It really wasn't that bad. But one thing I love about this build is the details they managed to fit in here. Starting off, well, Patrick's house is pretty simple, and I know people are going to say it's Patrick's rock or something, whatever. But Squidward's house is just amazingly done. I love that they captured the face on it, it's just so good. One pretty big downside of getting this in non-Lego though, is that the bottom half of SpongeBob's house is unfortunately yellow, as for some reason they say they don't have it in that orange color. But it exists in real Lego, so you can always just get that piece. In fact, it's kind of interesting how weird SpongeBob's house is. It's probably the least detailed location here, but at least you know what it is. I also love the way that they did the Krusty Krab. I think it looks really cool, and one thing I want to point out is that the instructions do say to keep the clam closed, but I had it open because that's what it looks like in the show. Though I'm pretty sure that's more because of how instructions are made and less because of anything else. I'm pretty sure the designer who put all these details in knows that the Krusty Krab sign is open. While the Krusty Krab is probably one of the more complicated builds, if I can say so, the Chum Bucket is extremely simple. In fact, the most complicated part of this build is sticking the rod through the 2 pins inside the round piece, but it works in the end. I love how in the boating school, he did include not only the driving track around it, but the white tooth piece is representative of a boat, which is just awesome. And of course, the giant anchor in the back is an amazing touch, and I love how simple it is to actually do that. One of the other more complicated quote-unquote parts of this build is of course Sandy's treehouse, and that's because the tree just is a little finicky. It's not too bad and it fits perfectly fine, and I think it works really well. Of course, the back of this is probably the only part in this entire build I don't really like, but short of just having the dome sit on there and have gravity hold it down, this is probably the next best option. And in reality, if you're looking at this from the front, you're not seeing this at all, so I'll give it a pass. In the end, for $14 total, I am 100% happy with this build. It's really great. The design is awesome. The cost is extremely cheap, and even in real LEGO, it's pretty cheap. The instructions are well made, and they even had some references in there. So if you're interested in getting this, all the links are in the description down below. And of course, let me know your thoughts while you're down there. Are there any other Skyline sets you think I should get? I've actually looked at this guy's Futurama build and would love to do that. Make sure you like and subscribe as we are getting ever closer to 5,000 subscribers. And if you haven't already, consider checking me out on Instagram, Discord, and of course on Patreon, where you can join all these wonderful people and get shoutouts like Jonathan and Project Elements. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm a goofy goober.